Hi Shefali, hi Nagesh, welcome to our show.
Hi.
Talking about your film Lakshmi, your next film Lakshmi Nagesh, apparently, your casting is very interesting, how you found her. Tell us about that.
Originally in the title role,
Yeah.
I cast a 14-year-old.
Right.
And the more I interacted with her and her parents, I started getting this serious degree of sort of discomfort. Primarily because I felt like I was being irresponsible in thrusting this 14-year-old into this really horrific world.
Okay.
Normally when you cast a child to play a child's role
Right.
on camera, I think you have to be sensitive about the subject. And this is not a subject that a kid needs to know before her time.
Absolutely.
And so when I kept doing this, I said, finally, this is not the way to go. So I stopped the film.
Okay.
And I said, at some point, if I get an actress who's at least 18, preferably over 21, but who can pass off as a
looks,
14-year-old.
young, yeah.
That's when I'm going to attempt this film. And as fate would have it, I saw Monali in a
Monali.
party.
Yeah.
And called her in for an audition and ended up casting her.
But you as a woman character playing a role in a film like this, when you're shooting, does it take a toll on you mentally? Because, it some affects all of us, right?
When I read the script
Yeah.
itself, forget before I got onto the set.
Right.
I mean, even when I read the script, it's horrific. It really hits you. But what I would say is that moment, that shot, that sequence, that moment particularly would drain me out completely.
Yeah.
So after the moment, you're just tired. It's not like you go back thinking,
It's
oh my
emotionally
God.
draining, basically.
Yeah.
And Nagesh, the subject is very serious, very sensitive. At the same time, when you're making a movie like this, which is socially relevant, you also need to entertain. So where do you really strike the balance there?
Well, it is an entertaining film because
Okay.
it's a story of heroism. There are parts that are hard-hitting, there are parts that are disturbing. Entertainment, I think, has fallen into a very, very narrow definition in India. You throw the word entertainment to someone, and their first version of it is a comedy. That's what they would equate almost as a synonym with entertainment. So entertainment needs to slightly broaden its scope.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been saying with Lakshmi repeatedly is, yes, it's hard-hitting. Yes, there are parts that will really put you on edge.
Yeah.
But overall, you get to hear this heroic true story.
Shefali, you're an award-winning actress, but you see your work far and few. Why?
That's why she's winning awards.
So you're in far and few films.
Because the kind of work I want to do comes far and few.
Okay.
It comes rarely.
Yeah.
So earlier it used to bother me. Now I've understood that
Yeah.
the kind of work I want to do will happen once in a while.
Right.
It's not that I'd, get 6 films of this kind offered to me in a year.
Yeah.
It could be 1 film in a year or 1 film in 2 years.
Yeah.
But when I go out there and do a film, it has to be worth it.
Right.
I love my work way too much to just go out and work for the heck of it.
Nagesh, the kind of movies you make, women play a very strong role, very women-oriented, if I must say. Do you find it difficult to get the correct casting for your films? To find people who go so far to play the roles that you've written for them?
No, I think I find it harder to find the money to make these films first.
Well, sir, I would agree. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because at the risk of making it sound like a cliche, this country is full of good actors, good singers. There's a plethora of everything.
Yeah.
The problem is the industry controls so much of what is made and how it's made,
Right.
that you've slotted virtually everyone into these little boxes, with each of these boxes having very few choices.
Is the reason you don't work with what we really call stars?
See, one, your script has to justify
Right,
the presence
right.
of a star, because the star brings so much of his or her baggage into the role
Correct.
that very seldom does the star rise above.
So you almost see yourself writing for the star, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they've built so much of an image doing very similar things
Yeah.
that your material can't really just put them in something radically different. And I have tried.
Yeah.
When I took Akshay,
You work with Akshay and John, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Akshay did something very un-Akshay-like.
Yeah.
He didn't play loud and
Yeah.
big. He played a very subdued, kind of brooding character. So that was the best thing that I could do to sort of break him a little bit and put him in that space.
So do you think we would make better cinema if we weren't writing roles for stars?
I don't think you write roles for stars, honestly. You just, a star is the one who determines a film.
A
You
star
get
just
the
says
star,
yes.
and then you don't bother
Everything
what the role
revolves
is.
around them.
Role
Role
क्या
क्या,
role?
characterization
क्या
क्यों?
what are we talking about?
Why waste time on things like
In
that?
fact, what happens is because once you're, it's unfair to say that
Yeah.
I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult, like what Nagesh was saying, it's very difficult to make a star a character.
Correct, exactly.
He doesn't become the person in the film.
still
He'll
the big
always
star
be
he is,
bigger than
yeah.
the film.
Yeah.
You know, and it not taking away from their acting ability, but it would
Correct.
simply be because that's how people perceive him.
The fans want to see them that way,
So
playing
I don't
heroic
think
characters
there are
all the time.
roles
Yeah.
written for stars. There are
Yeah.
stars first determined, and then the thing
Correct.
falls
Everything
into
can works
place.
around them.
कि अच्छा अभी ये है तो क्या बनेगा?
Correct.
रोल क्या
Correct.
मतलब क्या
Yeah.
फर्क पड़ता है? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Yeah. Nagesh, you also heard how you're grappling with this entire new promotions of films.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Every time a film comes up for release, I'm a total idiot when it comes to it. So I don't know what to do with my film.
Yeah.
So you always keep listening to different marketing people.
Yeah.
All spout different kinds of mantras that work for a
Yeah.
film. What's changed in our filmmaking is marketing's completely overtaken filmmaking. It now has become a component that dominates the process
Correct,
of filmmaking.
yeah.
When people are putting projects together, they're talking about eventually isko kaisa
Right,
market
yeah.
करेंगे. And I don't think like that.
Yeah, you said something like you don't want to really sell yourself because you just made a good film and you wanted to end there.
See, I think that's a little bit. I mean, my comment about selling myself was we all sell ourselves, please. It's a constant, especially all of filmmaking is just blatant prostitution. I'm begging some actor sometime. I'm asking
Make
more
it sound
money.
so bad.
It is. I can't understand how I, as a filmmaker, have to stand in front of people and say, my film is superb. Watch my film. How can I say that? So it's become a nasty thing. Marketing's become a nasty thing. And the one point I want to add is the fact that people have stopped marketing their product and they're marketing themselves.
Right. So you never had ever the pressure that am I commercially viable, because everyone thinks about, the new thing about box office numbers, figures, which even the Aam Janta talks about 100 crores nowadays. It's just like in passing.
I hate this numbers game because it is necessary.
Yeah, it's
if,
important.
If numbers happen...
That's what makes everyone tick at the end of the day too,
Bilkul.
right? Yeah.
I get paid. If I get paid, I get to make more films.
Yeah.
All of those things. And I'm using someone else's money also.
Right.
Having said that, in Lakshmi, I've put my own money as well. I want to add that caveat. But what should 100 crores make to you or me when it comes to liking a film?
Yeah.
That cannot be a criterion
Yeah.
to get me inside the theatre.
Right, exactly.
But it does for the Aam Janta. Otherwise, people wouldn't be throwing numbers.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's another marketing tool. I get that. But the foolishness of reading somewhere and saying, हाँ ये 2 crore बने, चलो मैं जाके film देखता हूँ, is
Exactly.
wow.
Yeah. I mean,
don't get it.
especially in a country driven by stars, if you like a Salman Khan, irrespective of whether the reviewer pans the film or it's a 0 crore or whatever, you'll still go and watch the film, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And here's another thing, I'm digressing briefly from the 100 crore thing. The things that make people go watch films
Yeah.
is if an actor tells you to go watch a film, you'll go watch a film. That is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
So actors come on board and they tell you, go watch this film. So it's like, to give a parallel, Tom
Yeah.
Cruise coming on board and picking some small independent film and saying, go watch this film. And then everyone rushes and watches it. I find that so...
That's a new trend. Very big Bollywood stars support small cinema and it becomes like suddenly very big.
Which is why we are hoping that Salman will say, please come and watch Lakshmi.
I believe you want Salman to come and endorse your film. Is that true, Nagesh?
No, we came up with the tagline, are you being human?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And honestly, that when you see the film, you know that it's not a sellout line.
Yeah.
You know that that's exactly what the reason behind making the film was.
But when I read that tagline, the first thing that crossed my mind is Salman associated with the project. I
Correct.
just thought, does he have anything to do with it? So,
No, it's a very clever line, but the bottom line is it makes sense with the film. And right from the very first press conference when we were asked this,
Yeah.
I've been saying, yes, if he says, I'll lend even 1% support, we'll be grateful
why not?
because someone like him could make a difference.
at one point you did a lot of television too, right? But
Yes.
then I guess you thought it was a very factory kind of output. So did you? Is that a
Honestly, when
reason?
I did television,
Yeah.
it wasn't. It
Yeah, I
wasn't. There was
guess,
some really substantial work happening on television and some really wonderful work happening. Now it is a factory. It's not about the quality as much so as the quantity of work. And like we were discussing earlier, you know, if it's like a short story or it's like a telefilm or it's 13 episodes, 26 episodes, you still know that the quality will be maintained.
Right.
You know where the character is going. You know what the story has, a beginning, middle and end.
Right.
But when you're doing 100 episode, nobody has control over it. And then the TRPs or somebody sitting in a corporate office is going to decide.
Exactly.
Or some actors not available. So the availability of an actor is going to decide the storyline.
Yeah.
It's
insane. Yeah.
I'd probably go crazy if I had to go and work like that.
No, you both have been part of very good cinema, and we are making very good cinema right now in our country. And we keep talking about this global connect, how we're reaching out far and wide and recognition, globally. How far do you think we've really reached? Do you think we've made movies with global perspective? Do you think our stories interest foreigners?
No, absolutely not. The percentage of films that are made in India that actually reach out are very few. Having said that, I think in the last 3 to 4 years, maybe you can stretch it back to 5 years, the number of films from India that are going outside have like quadrupled. And that's primarily because filmmaking has become cheap. So there are lots of people doing stuff which doesn't necessarily fall into the mainstream kind of cinema, but are clearly being shown in film festivals abroad.
Coming back to Lakshmi, what's your gut feel about this film, Nagesh?
I'm really terrible with predictions, so I shall keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is, and when you see the film, you'll understand why it's a very special film for me.
I don't know what will happen the day it releases. I've always maintained that every film is like a baby. It's born with its own fate and destiny.
Yep.
But all I can say is I'm extremely proud of this film.
Looking forward to watching this one, and thank you so much for being on our show, and wish you all the best with this film. Thank you so much.
Thank you.